Probably the number one thing you can do is be as prepared as possible. So if you're taking an audition, make sure that you know the excerpts from memory. Basically, you know exactly what you want to do in every measure for every note. Recording yourself helps tremendously, because when you're recording yourself, you know, you push record and like you kind of feel the pressure a little bit more. Like you can't just stop and go back and fix it.
Right.
You want to play through the whole thing and then listen to it, kind of make some adjustments, play it again, record it, listen to it. I mean, that kind of a process really, really helps get you grounded. The other thing is, like, if you're in, you know, on stage or in the pit or whatever, and you're feeling those nerves, kind of feeling that your feet on the ground helps, you know. Another silly thing that helps is just smiling, like forcing yourself to smile, which seems totally contrary to like when you're really nervous. But it really makes you remember that you're here playing music. So.
I totally agree with that. I think I tell my students a lot of the time the fear, the performance anxiety comes from the unexpected, or the fear of maybe something happening that wasn't planned. And so overly preparing, you know, knowing what you're going to do with every phrase, recording yourself, and then getting in a situation where you force yourself to deal with those feelings. Playing for other people. Yeah,
that's a big one.
You know, is totally huge to get those nerves out, or know how you're going to feel in the moment, and then dealing with that before the actual performance.
And expecting to feel nervous is very helpful too. You know, if you're a student and you have all these auditions opening up and you have them coming up for, you know, grad school or something, you know, just go to the one that makes the most sense for you for every reason. The one that just seems right. Go with your gut. You know, not the one where you feel like you're supposed to choose. Like if you get into Curtis and then some other school that's less known, you know, maybe Curtis isn't the right place for you for some reason. You know, maybe you really should take the other road that's a little, for some reason, there's enough factors that make that the right road, even though it's not the thing that everybody else says you should do.
Right.
So. I actually started playing the violin when I was in kindergarten. And that was just because I had an uncle who played the violin and I thought it sounded so cool. So I did that for a long time and took it very seriously and played violin until I was 17. So I did both. Primarily, I played violin, I would say, like in youth orchestras and stuff like that. And then, like I said, my older brother, who's 4 years older than me, played the horn. And so I would always kind of play his horn at home just for fun, you know. And so in fourth grade, when the band director came and, you know, showed all the instruments off to everybody, I could kind of play. And he was like, "Wow, you're so natural." And I didn't tell him that I had already kind of been playing a little bit at home. So I don't know. So I just did both. And then it did help to have an older brother to kind of guide me a little bit, you know, with things and teachers and music festivals and stuff like that. So I just did both. And then I quickly learned that the violin was I was not going to practice as much as needed to continue.
At some point you had to decide between the two.
Yes. How about you? How did you start?
Well, I started on piano, actually. Okay. And there was a similar sort of dichotomy between the two instruments and deciding which I wanted to eventually go into. And so, but I fell in love with the sound of the horn, and I wanted to play in an orchestra. And I knew my opportunities would be greater on the horn.
Wow.
So, but the horn sort of fell into my lap because I was playing flute in band, and they asked me if I wanted to switch to a more challenging instrument. And that was exciting to me. So, but I didn't know what the horn was before they handed it to me.
Oh, wow.
So it was a little bit of a shock.
It's also kind of rude to say that to all the flautists. Your instrument's not that hard. Sorry.
What did you do during the pandemic when all of the musicians were furloughed?
First of all, Lessonface, from the very beginning, they were our first huge supporter, where they said, okay, we'd like 2 master classes a month. So that immediately gave our year some order. So that gave another sense of stability that we didn't have. And without that, we would have just been completely at a loss, you know. It's one thing to you know, it's like you go from having structure and you know what your week is going to be like and you know what operas are coming up to having just completely nothing. So having Lessonface there, I think, was a crucial step as an orchestra. So so we're very grateful.
I'm very grateful too. I actually joined in March of 2020.
Okay.
For Lessonface, and have been teaching.
You're active. You're very active.
I teach a lot of lessons through Lessonface weekly, which is so fun, and it has totally changed me as a teacher too. You know, there's this, we're so used to teaching in person, and then you go to this virtual environment where you can't play with the student anymore. And
that's
so
horrible.
that was, I get asked by so many other teachers who weren't comfortable with teaching virtually, how do you teach effectively? So I think everybody sort of grew as a teacher just by having to adapt in ways. You know?
I think so too.
How is playing with the Met different than other orchestral jobs?
You learn so much about music, about how to phrase like the human voice, which is what our teachers always tell us, right? Is like, sing through your horn, you know, play it like you're singing it. And I feel like there's such a disconnect between when somebody tells you to do it, it's very different than just hearing it every single night. And when you hear it every single night, you realize what the singers are doing and you know, how you can apply that to your horn or to your instrument. And like, so for instance, one thing that I was just saying in a lesson is with singers, they try to make the phrases as long as possible. So if you have let's see, like Mozart 2 or something, you have ba dee da dee da da. A lot of people kind of stop there with the phrase dee da dee da 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 da, right? But a singer would go ba dee da dee da da dee da dee da 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 dee da dee da. So the whole thing is one long phrase, and those half notes that maybe we would kind of, as horn players, diminish a little bit, or you know, take a breath or something. I always challenge my students, don't take a breath. See if you can do that whole phrase in one breath. And if you can't, try it again a few times and see if you really can't do it. Or in Brahms 3, the famous horn excerpt from Brahms 3, you know, I really don't breathe from like halfway through the excerpt until the very end, because it makes it for one long, beautiful phrase. And that's what the singers do. And that's how, you know, we learn, I think. So.
So in a moment here, we will be joined by your brother.
My brother.
Who
come on.
is also a phenomenal horn player. So we're going to ask for all of the embarrassing stories.
From me. I'm going to tell the embarrassing stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she will be telling the embarrassing stories.
Well, Thomas is the associate principal horn of the St. Louis Symphony. He's had a great career. Here, why don't we scooch over? Make sure. Are you still in the? Yeah, you're still in the camera. Hey.
There we are. Hello, everybody.
So yeah, I mean, so Thomas is older than me by 4 years, and played in the New York Philharmonic for 2 years. I think.
I did.
You did.
Oh yeah, I did.
And you played where else? Richmond Symphony and Honolulu Symphony. Kansas City, Omaha.
Keep going.
Hold on, I'm trying to think. Wait, where else?
So what was it like growing up with such like two horn players of such high caliber in the same house?
Well,
what was that like?
It was hard for him because I was better than he was. So, you know, that was hard.
she made All-State. I never did. So.
You didn't make All-State?
Braces. We're not going to cover all this again.
No, but you were great because he's much, I don't know. You're a big horn geek, kind of, in a good way.
I'm acknowledged horn geek. Yes.
And, yes. And so growing up, we had, you know, I remember we saw Dale Clevender play a solo with the Elmhurst Symphony, and you went up and asked for his autograph, and I was mortified. I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And you just asked for his autograph, and he was very nice.
I was 13, you were 9.
You know, you had all these different heroes, like Canadian Brass or Chicago Symphony. And because of you, I got to take lessons with Arnold Jacobs, the famous tuba player of the Chicago Symphony, and Phil Farkas. here at Indiana when I was 16
Right.
because
right.
of you. So
Because of me. Really? Wow.
yeah,
I had greater influence than I thought I did.
You did.
That's good.
you did.
But no, but audition skills, like what we think is important when we're learning how to play these excerpts is maybe not as important behind the screen. Like one is dynamics. There's a famous interview with the former first horn of the New York Phil, guy named what was his name? Phil Myers. That's right.
Oh,
But with Michael Davis, the great jazz trombonist from New York. But he says Phil did not start winning. Phil said he didn't start winning auditions till he played all the excerpts at mezzo forte, and so brought all his pianos up, brought all his fortes down, played them all boringly mezzo forte, which meant they all sounded easy and good. There was nothing strained, nothing too loud ever. That part came later. So there. I mean, I'm not saying you should play boringly.
Not at all.
Put that out there.
You of all people are not saying that.
No. But there are certain ways to play where it sounds easy. I keep saying that the most important thing for auditions, make it sound easy.
Listening to arias, I think, is incredibly important for any musician, violinist, pianist, horn player, just to hear how they phrase things. So
familiarity with the music and knowing what you're walking into with the audition, and listening to singers and singing through the horn, which is easier said than done.
Oh yeah,
right.
I do believe if you have passion for what you're doing, you will do everything possible to make it happen. Which means not being sloppy, which means if the teacher says you should play this tenuto, you mark it right away. You're not like, oh, I'll remember that. Or, I mean, I'm taking notes now for all these IU students if they're listening. And I say, okay, next week I want this. And then if it doesn't happen again and again, I'm like, I get it. No one owes you a job, basically. And there are so few jobs, as we know, that you must really maximize your possibility. I mean, if that's what you love doing, do what it takes to get there. And I took a year off after school. I mean, one thing that I'm pressing on the kids here is, it is true you learn more, different things outside of school than in school. So don't have that burden of I need to win a job the second I leave school.
Yeah.
Take a gap year and just smell the flowers a little bit.
Yeah. It's so awesome to have both of you in the same room for the first time in a while, I'm hearing, and to have both of you as surprise guest on Lessonface, and this has been an amazing conversation.
I know, it has been. You did a great job hosting.
A great friendship, I think.
Yeah,
so it's exciting for me. So thank you for doing this.
Awesome.
And,
thank you.
Thank you for Lessonface for arranging this to happen,
and for being so flexible with everything.
and allowing us to
Yes.
have our real life issues with scheduling and travel and all of those things.
Yeah.
So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.